welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to look beyond the simple letter grade because, let's be real, there are so many ways to understand and support student learning.
So let's start with the big one. How do we really know what students are learning? It's a huge question, isn't it? Because it's about way more than just one test score. It's about seeing the whole journey. The ups, the downs, and all those breakthrough moments.
And probably the best way to think about this is, well, not as a single final exam, but more like a diverse toolkit. Just imagine a toolbox, right? It's filled with all sorts of things. Maybe a magnifying glass for those tiny details, and a wide-angle lens for the big picture. Every single tool has its own special job.
All right, so let's crack open this toolkit, shall we? First, we're going to look at the teacher's tools for everyday observation. Then we'll flip it and see how students can actually assess themselves. After that, we'll get into how assessment can be more of a conversation. And finally, we'll cover the more formal tools that give us that huge big picture view.
Okay, first up, the teacher's observational toolkit. We're talking about the tools teachers use every single day, right there in the moment, to get a feel for who's getting it and, well, who might need a little extra help. So, the foundation for all of this? It's just simple, powerful observation. And I mean, it's not just sitting back and watching. It's active. It's like listening with your eyes. You see a student struggling with a math problem. You can pinpoint exactly where they're getting stuck and jump in right then and there. It's all about that real-time feedback. Now, building on that is something called an anecdotal record. Really, just think of it like a quick sticky note a teacher might jot down. It could be about a big aha moment a student had, or maybe a point where they were really struggling. It's just a way to capture those key little moments.
And a checklist? Well, that just takes those informal notes and gives them a bit more structure. So instead of just a gut feeling, a teacher can track really specific skills. Things like, can they find the main idea? Or are they using punctuation right? It basically turns observation into useful data, but without all the stress of a big test.
Okay, now this is where things get really cool. This is the shift from just watching students know something to seeing them actually do something with it. I mean, can they just define what area is? Or can they get up, measure the classroom, and calculate it for real? That's what performance assessment is all about. It's that bridge between knowing stuff and actually using it.
But hey, this toolkit isn't just for teachers, right? Some of the most powerful tools are the ones we can actually put right into the hands of the students themselves. It's all about empowering them to really own their learning.
Which brings us to a super important question. How can a student track their own growth? I mean, when students can actually answer that for themselves, you see their motivation just shoot through the roof. So these next few tools, they put the student right in the driver's seat.
So here are 3 really simple but super effective ways to do that. You've got the journal, which isn't about getting a grade. It's just a space for their own thoughts. Then there's the literacy log, which is kind of like a fitness tracker, but for their reading life. And a reading history? That helps them figure out who they are as a reader. What do they love to read? What do they find tricky?
And really, all of this is leading to the big one, self-assessment. This is that magic moment when a student stops asking, what grade did I get? And starts asking, how can I make this better? When they learn to look at their own work critically, man, that is a skill that will help them for the rest of their lives. Okay, so assessment isn't just about watching or reflecting by yourself. It can also be a really powerful conversation. Let's talk about a tool that turns it into a real dialogue, one that brings everyone to the table. We're talking teachers, students, and families.
And that tool is the Simple Conference. But it's so much more than just picking up a report card, It's a chance to actually build a partnership, to set goals together. It makes sure that the support a student is getting at school is also happening at home. It's all about creating a team that's focused on that one learner.
All right, so we've been looking at the daily snapshots, right? The in-the-moment stuff. Now, let's zoom out. It's time to explore the tools that give us that broader, more formal, kind of panoramic view of a student's learning over a long period of time.
And one of the absolute best tools for this is the portfolio. I want you to think of it like a curated story of a student's learning. It's told through a collection of their actual work, their essays, their projects, maybe even some tests, all gathered over a semester or maybe even the entire school year. Yeah, and get this, not all portfolios are the same. A showcase portfolio? That's the highlight reel, just their best stuff. A descriptive one is all about showing what a student can do. An evaluative one? Well, that measures their work against a specific standard. And a progress portfolio? That's my favorite. It documents that incredible journey of growth, so you can literally see how far they've come from September to June.
So to make all this formal assessment feel fair and, really clear, you've got the rubric. A rubric is basically a roadmap to success. It spells out exactly what a student needs to do to get a good grade. No mystery, no guessing, they know exactly what's expected of them.
And this right here perfectly shows the two sides of that formal assessment coin. On one hand, you have the portfolio. That's the long, winding journey, right? It shows the process, the mistakes, the aha moments. Then on the other hand, you've got the standardized test. That's just a snapshot. One single objective picture taken on one specific day. Look, they're both valuable, but they tell completely different stories. And of course, to round out the formal toolkit, we have some of the things you're probably more familiar with. Benchmarks are kind of like checkpoints in a race. They just make sure students are on the right track. And those end-of-year tests, well, that's the finish line. They measure the specific skills students were supposed to learn all year. So here's the real takeaway. No single tool, not one, can tell the whole story. It's the combination that's so powerful. When you put together those quick, informal daily check-ins with the bigger, more formal assessments, that's when you get that rich, complete, and honestly a much more accurate picture of who a student is as a learner.
In this quote, it just nails why having this whole diverse toolkit is so important. The end goal here isn't just about putting a grade on a piece of paper. It's about empowering students to become the masters of their own learning.
And believe it or not, as we've gone through all of this, we've actually touched on 19, that's 9, distinct tools that educators can use. 19 different ways to understand and support every single student.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. Because the true art of great teaching, it isn't just knowing that all these tools exist. The real magic is in skillfully choosing the right combination of tools for the right student at exactly the right time.